Right, in my last video, I promised you a box, and here it is, one box, all the way from Germany. So, let's have a look what's inside it. Right, so let's have a look in this box then, let's see what we've got. Right, we're bringing Alice into the 21st century. Central locking kit. This is for a 4-door system. Obviously I only need 2, so these ones I don't really need because I've only got 2 doors. We've got 2 motors, a master which will go on the driver's door, and then we've got a slave motor on there. We've got a little bit of wire that will go around Alice about 18 times, I think. So all that's got to be connected together. We've got a receiver box for it and some cables. Basically there's a plus there, 12 volt plus, and we've got a minus which needs to be fitted. The other cables then go into these ones and feed the wires from there. We've got 2 quite nice looking remotes actually. They're really rather nice. Lock and unlock. So I quite like them. Nice, yeah, quite modern looking ones. So they'll be alright. We've got the pins that go into the motor like that. And they're the ones that push and pull the locking system. There are some brackets that will fit across here if we want to fit the locks across a hole. And we've got the clips, and these are the ones here that fit on this rod there and onto the locking mechanism inside the door, and also the screws that go in those holes as well. So I've got plenty of them. I've got 4 packets of them, and there's only 2 motors needed. So that's what's in the kit basically. It comes with a wiring diagram. If we're going to have 2 master ones to go on the front doors and then 2 slaves on the rear doors, or it's got with 1 master, which is the system I'll be using. So we've got 1 master lock and 1 slave lock on there, and those ones I won't need at all. So it's quite easy to wire in. So let's go out to the car and let's have a crack on with it. Right, so I've got the kit here ready, and I want to look at the passenger door to start with, which for me is obviously this side because I've got no steering wheel over there. So what I'm looking at is what, let's have some lights on, is what I can connect to make the door lock work. Now we've got this one there which is connected to the interior handle, and that doesn't really affect the locking mechanism. If I were to pull on it, what would happen is the lock mechanism there opens. So that's not really anything I want to connect to. The next one we've got is this one here, which goes all the way up there to the door handle. So if I were to pull and push on that one, it would make the door open. Then we can see the next one there, which is just behind it there. That one goes to the lock, which isn't really going to help. I mean, it's going to pull it down or up to lock the car, lock it or unlock it, which, yeah, I could connect to that one, I suppose. The problem with it is it's right on the inside here of the door. You've got the door skin here, so to fit a motor to that I have to kind of drill to the outside of the door skin, which I don't really want to do. So that only leaves me one left, and that's this one here, and that one, as you can see, goes all the way up to the little button that you press. And that one is this one here. So when it goes down, it locks the car. When it goes up, it unlocks the car. So that's the one I'm going to use. It's also there, which means that it's on the inside or outside, whatever you want to call it, of the door skin. So all I have to do now is find somewhere in there for the motor to fit. I've got the motor here, and what I'm planning on doing putting the pin behind there so that I can come all the way up here. I can put, as you can see, the motor right down the bottom, probably that way around, so that it's out the way of the window as the window goes down. And then that rod that comes up from the motor, I can then attach to that rod there to pull it up and push it down. So that is the plan. So I just need to just to make sure that the lock fits there without it touching the windscreen when the window goes down, which, looking at that, it's going to miss it when the glass goes down. It shouldn't touch it. So I'm just going to wind the window down and make sure, if I leave the lock there like that, as I wind the window down, hopefully without crushing my phone doing this, the glass goes down and it doesn't touch the motor. So I've got plenty of room to fit it there actually. It actually looks like I could almost use one of the holes that are already there, but I think I'll make new holes just for the lock. So the lock I can fit, and I'll do that by putting the lock on the outside of the door. When I offer the lock up to the door like that, I can see roughly where the lock's going to be. I can also see where the two rods are going to go, so I can see roughly where everything's going to go. So there is where I'm going to mark up for the lock to be, drill a couple of holes and fit the lock to it, and then I can attach that pin, probably in a slight bend just to follow that curve up there, but then I can do a little slight bend on it and make sure it fits. I can manually test it just by going up and down with the lock itself. If that fits, then I can do the same on the driver's door, and I can start putting wiring in the bottom of the door and going through the doors there and across the bottom of the dashboard and wiring it in permanently over there. So we'll start off by fitting the motor in position. The glass goes down without touching it, so that's a perfect place to put the motor. And then going up there we have the rod that comes up here, so I now need to bend the rod in the right place. Right, that looks quite nice there, I'm quite happy with that. So when it goes up the latch there, it unlocks it, and when it goes down it locks it. So that should work, and I've got plenty of adjustment there if I need to, by adjusting either that one or those two to make the lock perfect, but I think that should be alright. What I could do now is put 12 volt to those two cables and test and see what happens basically. I've got one of these adapters here which I can set to 12 volt, I can set it to 5 volt and all sorts of different volts, but I've got that one connected, and basically these motors work by putting 12 volt on one side and the negative on the other side. It'll go in one direction, switch over the cables and it goes in the opposite direction. So if we switch that over there, you'll hear it lock. If we change it to that side, it'll unlock, and you can see that working in there. So we switch the cables over down the bottom here, and it will now lock like that. Switch them over again and it unlocks. So that's basically how it works, and just by looking at that we know that the system works. So I can do the driver's side now, and then I can start putting cables inside the door. So that works. We'll crack on with the driver's door then. And now it goes up and it goes down again. So this side works perfectly well as well. So now we just have to put some cables through doors. Right, so we've got all the cables now in the door. What I need to do now then is get them from the door into the car. And as you can see, there is a hole there, but that's for the interior light. So I need to get a new hole down the bottom there, a bit further down. And to do that, I need to drill through the door and then into the car as well. So I'm going to do that with the door closed from the inside. I'm using a 3mm drill bit just so that I can get a pilot hole. Then once I've done that, I've got some of these, got a box of rubber grommets there that I can put through it. I'm going to put the cables in this. It's like a sleeving to stop it from getting worn out on anything. So I'm going to put the cables in that anyway, and then they've got nice little holes here, so I can cable tie the wires to the underside of there and keep everything nice and neat in there. I've also noticed that these two cables here, the brown ones and the white one, for some reason, and even the black one, they're not very long. They seem to go like there, look, to the end of the door, and they'll probably fit through the chassis, but well, the black one won't actually. So I'm going to extend those cables. I'll do it inside the door here, probably about here somewhere. I'll extend them with new cables all the way through, and then I can join them back inside the car underneath the dashboard somewhere. So I've got a little bit of work to do, so let's crack on with it then. Okay, that was pretty nerve-wracking, but there's a hole going through there. Turns out this is a double skin just here. So behind this skin here, there's another one, which is the outer skin, and there's the hole for that. But I was able to drill through that, and there I've got a nice hole, which is below that one. It's not far off actually, in line with that one. Oh, it's not far off actually. So I'll be able to make that slightly bigger, and then run the cables through there with all this nice trunking on it to keep it protected. So I'll drill that hole slightly bigger now. Right, so what I've done now is I've got the box in there. I have put a nice little connector on here, connecting all the wires up. These are the wires from the door, and these are the wires that go to the control box. These are pretty good connectors actually. You can buy them off like eBay or whatever. They're waterproof, which is probably overkill being inside the car, but well, I've got them, they're fairly cheap, so why not? So that's all connected. There are the two earth cables there connected as well. And then I found at the end of the fuse box, there's a cable there and there's another one there. Both of these are permanent lives. I assume that one of these you can use for the radio. The only problem was it was one of those white fuses there which blew straight away. So I've just borrowed that one, that hole there that you can see there, that one. I borrowed the fuse from there and just put it there. So I want to test it now. Right, so as we can test it now then, we'll press the lock button. She locks. And we press the unlock button. And she unlocks. The other side, get our camera there, we press the lock button. She locks. Unlock button. Unlocks. All done. Right, so that's Alice brought a little bit closer to the 21st century. One of the things I'm going to do in the future is fit a 2-litre Mondeo engine in it, and that will bring it right up into the 21st century. So yeah, watch me in my next video, and we'll keep going with this, see what we can do next week. So yeah, thanks a lot, and bye bye.